the programme is targeted at young people from ethnic minority backgrounds who have the right to work and stay within the UK, so that we can support the third sector in the future. So the programme was created because, as I said earlier, there's a lack of young people entering the third sector. There's now a lack of interest in the community issues we're finding as well with young people, whether it's within the PTA, the Parent Teacher Association at schools, whether it's with community councils, the local councils, with politics in general. Also, many of the ethnic minority groups have disappeared due to the cuts in funding. Looking for the young people to connect again with their communities. There's a lot where young people are not wanting to appear as if they've got a chip in their shoulder, and they're not taking up issues that they're facing, their families are facing, and their communities are facing. Replenish and develop the skills of young ethnic minority people. Again, we're finding that just a conversation we were having just off air before we came on was a lack of confidence in young people generally, but particularly, again, we're addressing the confidence issues that young ethnic minority people are facing. And finally, advancing race equality in a positive manner. So when somebody discusses race equality, it's not seen to be in a negative setting. It's good to maybe highlight, the good things that we're doing with within Scotland. So the programme, the Young, Confident and Connected programme, is funded by the Big Lottery Young Start Fund. And one of the project outcomes is to increase the confidence of young children and young people from ethnic minorities, so they're equipped with better skills and also with confidence. The programme itself, very exciting programme. It's 6 individual days of training. Now I'll go through the types of training that we provide. We've already carried out this programme in Glasgow, and it's proved to be a great success. But the programme was due to be delivered throughout Scotland, so hence the reason why we're here today. The dates have yet to be confirmed, but we do have dates in the diary for March, which is the 6th of March, the 13th of March. In April we've got the 10th, the 17th and the 10th, the 17th and the 24th. And in May we've got the 1st of May. So that's the 6 individual days of training that we're hoping to confirm with our training providers. At the end of that, we've got individual work placements, which we have been trying to target to the area that the individual is most interested in. So we've got race equality organisations, we've got people working at Semvo Scotland for their work placement, STUC. We've got 3 young people that have actually got a work placement with the Scottish Government that they're actually in the process of working on at the moment. Did I mention STUC, Good Moves, etc. as well. So some of the organisations where we've got some work placements. And then at the end of this, in May, we're looking for a very short 2-day residential. So very, very good residential at the end. So one of the questions that we were asked at the beginning was, how have we managed to recruit so far? So a variety of ways that we've managed to get our people, but to be honest with you, we were oversubscribed in Glasgow, but it's not fair to miss out the rest of Scotland. So these are the organisations that we contacted and managed to get the people that we were looking for. So what kind of training do we give? It's very, very high quality training because we're limited to the amount of time that we've got with each person. So we've got the race equality training, personal and community leadership, which we'll go into further detail, influencing through speaking, and again that's about public speaking and communication. We've got some fantastic media training as well that we did in conjunction with one of the colleges in Glasgow, public engagement and public appointments as well. So just to give the young people an insight into public appointments, boards and committees. They need to be aware that they don't have to be a certain age before they can be a board member. It's always something that they expect an old man to be sitting on the board, but they don't realise that these boards are crying out for young people to come on board. So the contacts and the people that we're working with so far to help us deliver this programme, the Police Scotland, Department of Work and Pensions, RAF, BBC Scotland, as I've mentioned, Scottish Government, some of the councillors and MSPs and some of the youth groups as well. So breaking down the training days, I've kind of mentioned some of the stuff before, but one of the things I would kind of highlight is the emotional intelligence and self-awareness training, which we have done with Police Scotland. And I've got to say that the police themselves, the trainer came back to me afterwards and said that was one of the most rewarding days of his whole career that he had. So I can't sell this enough with regards to the quality that we had, and that was going through the head of their training and development for the whole of Police Scotland. So they were very, very happy with their achievements. And to be honest with you, we had some of the young people, I know this isn't one of the aims of the day, but they were so overwhelmed that they were in tears. So it was just so personally rewarding for myself and the trainer and the individuals themselves. Okay, so I'm going to give you a wee taster of what the programme was, and if you ever want to steal any ideas, feel free to do so, because the programme itself was fantastic. So introduction to the YCC programme. One of the things I would say is I do ask young people to sign a commitment agreement to say that they are committed to all of the days of training. Generally, most of the days are on a Thursday. One of the things that we did was take them to the Scottish Parliament for First Minister's questions. So hence the reason why we have it on a Thursday, because First Minister's questions is on a Thursday. We introduced them to some mentors, eSpark mentors that come along to the day. We also spoke about the barriers that they face, and this is where the journey begins really for the young people, when they understand that they have got barriers and additional barriers when they're from an ethnic minority community, but it's in a positive light, you know, very, very positive. So I'll not go into this in too much detail, but that was day one, and this was my first cohort from Glasgow. There's my first group of young people. So I'm looking for any ethnic minority background at all, because the more variety we have in this course, more the individuals learn from each other. And to be honest, I learn as well as the trainers learn as well. So this was day one, and we found that the day one, they were all anxious. One young person stuttered and stammered really badly, really, and it was painful for the rest of the people to watch as well. But it was something that we had to go through, and something that young person had to go through. One young person actually came up to me, and sorry for giving you so much detail, but this will maybe help you try and pinpoint the kind of people that came on board. Originally, it was for people that were of a confidence level that we could take them further, try and get them involved with communities, etc. But when I saw some of these young people in front of a group, they were totally a different person from the person that had come along to me originally and said, I want to do this, I'm focused and I can do this. So just to give you an idea that you'll know these people, these young people, better than I do when you refer them. So one person left at lunchtime and stated that he had no social skills. And if you see that young chap now, he's completed his placement, he's now looking for a job and he's doing great. So much so, at that stage, he was scared to go on public transport. So this is a life-changing opportunity for some of these young people. Several jackets stayed on, and some stood in corners, so they really did not have any confidence with interacting with young people. So end of day one, the feedback I got was how inspiring it was. They won't be afraid to expand their comfort zone. We'll focus on what they're good at. And I think a lot of them, and I'm not saying that a lot of them were from, not from a background,
affluent backgrounds.
well, some of them were actually, some that weren't from deprived backgrounds, thank you, that's the word I was looking for, from deprived backgrounds. They were all from a mixture of backgrounds, because confidence doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what background you're from. Even the most affluent young people that were there, they were the ones that had maybe been protected from life in the big bad world. So they actually had more confidence issues from some of the people from deprived backgrounds, I found. And obviously they were happy with the way it was organised as well. So day 2, we took them to the Scottish Parliament. We had first of all, we had the First Minister's questions, which was great. Gave them an insight into what it was actually, what politics is all about, and it's not scary. We had some speakers come along. We had the Minister for Youth Employment, who is also the Minister for human trafficking. So the young people found that very interesting indeed, and having the ability to ask questions. We also had the Scottish Minister for International Affairs that came in and spoke to the young people. So that was a wee insight of their day. Again, very, very enjoyable. But we actually had one politics university graduate who said that they'd learned more about politics in one day than they knew before. So, and that's them doing a degree in politics. So, second day, they were getting a wee bit better, getting to feel a wee bit more comfortable, but some were still a wee bit nervous to speak in front of the group. Okay, so the feedback was that they're only into the second week and already they could feel their confidence is improving. And again, the ones that were more confident came back with saying things like, yeah, do you know, I should be really doing this, I should be listening to the news rather than MTV or whatever. So just kind of maybe switching on into politics and civic engagement. The third day was at City Chambers. Again, we had some VIPs, we had some councillors come in and speak to them, talking about their roles at the councils and also on boards of organisations. And in the afternoon we did some confidence building workshops as well. And I think that was a benchmark for us to see where they were. So there we are at day 3. So they're beginning to gel as a team now, and the shy members in the group were actually beginning to present. So again, some were still stuttering, but they were comfortable, and everybody in the group started to be comfortable, and they knew to let the young people, knew to give them time, because this was a way of supporting each other rather than filling in words. So there we go, that was the feedback and learnings from day 3. So day 4, and this is the one I was talking about earlier on, about the emotional intelligence and understanding behaviour, and it was understanding self-awareness as well as where they could go in the future as well, again breaking down barriers. So that was, I don't want to promote that one too much, but that was the work that we did with Police Scotland. The fact that we went to their training college as well, I just added more to the day, and they got a wee ride in the police van as well, so that was a wee additional bit to the day. So by this time all jackets were off, no signs of tiredness, fully tuned in, and this is what I'd mentioned earlier on, tears and emotion. So it was as if they were, you know, they were happy to discuss the barriers that they were facing. So really a fantastic day we had there. And even now when I speak to the young people, they say that was kind of a groundbreaking day for them. So day 5, this is where we got down to the politics in Scotland, political structures, etc., and some of the processes. However, we didn't go into great detail to bore them, although it was in a classroom setting. They found it certainly very, very helpful. And the person that had actually left the first day saying that he had no social skills, I remember walking into that room that day, and there was a group of them talking to each other, and that was a breakthrough for me, from the person that actually said, I can't deal with this, I've got no social skills, and I come into the room and they're all chatting and giggling away together. So that was great. Again, that was the feedback I got there. Race equality was next. And in actual fact, although I was only supposed to deliver 6 days, there were some extra days that I delivered with BBC Scotland and one of the colleges with regards to presentation skills, etc. And the young chap that I had, who was stuttering on the first day, I'm beginning to do it myself, actually read the news and didn't pause for one moment, and that I was on a high when we left, he was on a high. In fact, his mum actually phoned me the next day to say, you know, that he came home and he's really broken free. So it was a big change for him you know, just to be able to go live in front of a camera, read the news without stuttering one. So again, that was such a great breakthrough for that individual. So, yeah. So placements are underway for the young people, and I'm now recruiting for throughout Scotland now, for new recruits throughout Scotland. However, I would say, and I'm sure that you'll ask me about this, is the issues that we have. The issues I have is retaining the young people, because it is, when they've got busy lives themselves, they're at university, they're at colleges, etc. Retention is a big issue for me, that I tend to find a core number of people that I see right to the end. I've had one young person that's gone to France, one young person that's gone to London. So I'm very, very careful as to who I'm taking on, because it is such a big commitment from Sembo Scotland and our partner organisations, that they need to see it through to the end. So commitment is a big thing for us. At the back of that, we're working alongside a lot of other organisations. In fact, two of my young people have recently done an advert for a local radio station. We're working with the Scottish Parliament on a blog. They've done an interview with the Scottish Parliament. We've got the placements at the Scottish Government, and they're also talking about internships for those individuals as well. So that's the end of my presentation. So I'm looking for some more young people to join this YCC throughout Scotland. So if you know of anybody from an ethnic minority that would benefit from this kind of training, then please give them my details, and I look forward to hearing from them and yourselves as well. Okay. Is that okay? Any questions around the training?
Hi. So it's Ian up in Shetland.
Hi.
First thing is the cards that you have.
Yes.
If you could send some to Michaela Gilmore.
Will do.
I'll email you the details, and Michaela, you could then distribute them out to the partners. I'm just thinking, is there a link here that could be formed between Perth College and the organisation?
Absolutely, because one of the media training that we did was with City of Glasgow College, and we're maintaining those links. So if there's anything that we could do to support you, and if anything that you could do to support us, whether it's with venue or anything else that we can help with and you can help us with, we'd be absolutely delighted to work in partnership with yourselves as well.
If we were to arrange something, let's say at Inverness College, then how would that work practically? You would have to presumably come up to Inverness.
Yes.
And you have funding to do that.
What I would like to do is really, if we could pay for the young person maybe to come down to yourselves here at Perth, because we've got some people that are interested in Dundee as well. So
right.
That's the only thing. One of the other things I was looking at was when you mentioned Inverness, was the residential at Inverness, so we could bring all the young people, just trying to keep our budget, budget spend on travel to a minimum. So, but we're happy for if there's any other ideas, but obviously we've got a budget that we need to work with as well. So we might be able to have one piece of training in Inverness, but the rest of the time maybe bring the people that are interested in Inverness to Perth or Dundee.
Down to Perth, right? Okay, that sounds fine. Okay, thank you.
Ian, could I come in here?
Yeah.
It's Ian Morrison here in Dornoch. I'm Dean of Students. I really enjoyed the presentation. The project sounds fantastic.
It really is, yeah.
And I'd really like to get some of our students onto it. Is there really a follow-up to Ian's question about the practicalities? Because Ian's talking to you from Shetland. We have students over in the Western Isles. I'm in Dornoch, which is an hour north of Inverness. Yeah. Practically, are we really talking about students who would be in the Perth area in terms of UHI? Because it's six days of training, flying from Shetland, would your budget cover to 6 lots of flights?
As I say, we're that's the downside to this project, was the budget with regards to travel for the young people. So I think I've been given a poison chalice. Chalice, I think the chalice it's called, isn't it? Because although I was told to go and deliver it throughout Scotland, but this is your budget. So I'm trying to be as clever as possible. So if there's people travelling for maybe something else, then we could maybe arrange for one of the classes in Inverness, or if they happen to be in Perth for maybe an open day or some kind of additional training. So I'm just trying to be, or unless you could maybe
20 young people in Dornoch or
yes,
Inverness,
if you've got 20 young people in Inverness for me to work with, then I would have no
travel up.
and the trainers travel up as well. So whatever we could do, or this kind of facility even. But I don't think you can get the outputs through video link as you would when the young people are interacting with each other, because it's a personal journey for the individuals as well.
Yeah.
The students would definitely need to meet face to face before you start to think about using technology to run something like this. Yeah.
Would you have any suggestions, Ian, yourself? What have you done in the past when there's things like this going on and you're looking for students to come across, to take part?
Travel and accommodation costs are always the barrier.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have how many young people do you have in mind from ethnic minorities from the area that you're talking about? How many? What's the numbers we would be talking about?
I'm really not sure. Ian?
Yeah, in fact, while you were talking, I was trying to get Kevin Sinkler, who's here, might be able to answer. I was trying to look at the report that Kevin recently circulated. I know that the number is small in headcount terms.
Okay.
I can see Kevin on VC. He's desperately now looking for that report, and hopefully he'll be able to confirm that. But the problem is the number is relatively small, but also dispersed. I mean, you could end up with somebody who is living in Stornoway, 2 people who live in Elgin, 3 people who live in Wick, who think, what a fantastic project, as it sounds. And I absolutely appreciate the challenge you've got there for in terms of stretching a limited budget to pull in these people. But I suppose if the project really wants to be pan Scotland rather than pan Central Belt, then that's something I need to prioritise.
But Ian, what I would say is, if you've got young people interested now, this is a funded project, that if we have people that are interested, we go back to the funders for next year to say, well, this is the demand, there is demand there, and this is the funding we need, and that's what needs to be covered. This was an additional barrier. The purpose of this project is to break down the barriers and not create barriers. Yes. So it stands us in good stead to say, in the future, if you're looking for us to go Scotland-wide, and the staff is willing to go Scotland-wide, the only barrier then is the cost. And that's but we do need, as you know, in this environment, we need the evidence. So if you have got something to say, you know, that these people would really be interested in this, then I would do everything possible, and so would my line manager. We've spoken about this before as well.
That's really encouraging. That's a really positive thing to say, and we'll do our best. I can see, Kevin, have you been able to find that data?
Yes, I have, Ian. I'm just having a look at it just now. If we look at percentage-wise, you know, people that might be eligible to take part, it's quite low. But if you look at the actual numbers, you know, there are some significant populations around. This is actually quite detailed, so I don't have totals. But if we're looking at Asian Indian as one of the categories, there's 155 students in that category. There's 20 Chinese, Asian Chinese. There's 41 Black African. That's actually spread right across the partnership. So that's the challenge, is they are actually spread out. But you know, there are these pockets right across the partnership. So I think that there is a population out there that would benefit.
Yeah, You'll see that once you actually get the cards, it specifies that the young people, as long as they're under 24, so kind of 16 to 25, 16 to 25, I've got one 25-year-old actually as well, then they would be eligible. The other thing is, so long as they're, as I said during the presentation, they're able to work and they live in Scotland as well, or the UK, and they're entitled to work. So it's not international students as such, that they've come to the university for a particular qualification and then they'll be going back. So it's people that are going to reside and have an input into their local communities as well. So that's one programme that we're running. The other programme is, if there's no more questions about this particular one, is there any more questions about this particular one? Because I'd like to tell you about the other one.
No questions, no, but I definitely think this is something that maybe Perth College could become more closely involved with in the first instance.
So Ian, who would you say, apart from Michaela, who else do you think we should be speaking with at Perth College?
Ali Scott.
Ali, that's fine. I've already been in touch with Ali, so I'll let her know that you've shown interest as well, and then we'll take it from there. But this was only a 1 year project, so we've already, and it was harder for me at the beginning because when you're creating a programme like this, it's hard to envisage what the outcomes are actually going to be. And when you're talking about these young people now travelling throughout Scotland themselves, and they were scared to get in a bus themselves, and their parents are actually coming back to me saying, this is great, I've got another young person in Glasgow, can you take them on? And you know, because I've got to cover the whole of Scotland, I'm very limited to what I can do in Glasgow. So it's a great project, but we need to get out there, and it really is of great value. That's the reason why I'm here today, rather than, you know, just a paper project, because I've, you know, the people that are inputting into this are great themselves as well. So very welcome to pass any people to me, and I will look after them.